Well, here it is. I know you've all been waiting for the predictions video. So let's get started. House of Representatives, of course, 435 seats. All of them are up. The Democrats right now have a 77-seat advantage. That's going to shrink. In fact, it's going to go to 0 and then some. So I think the Republicans are going to pick up 45 seats. A lot of people think maybe 50. Some people you hear 60. The reason I'm staying with 45 is that I think there are a lot of close races all over the country in red states and blue states, and I think that in some of those blue states and blue districts within red states, I think incumbents, Democratic incumbents, will squeak some of these races out. Not that many, but some of them. So I'll say 45. The Republicans will take control of the House of Representatives. I think not the most daring prediction in the world, I understand, but there you go. Now, as to the Senate, I'm going to say that the Republicans are going to gain 7 seats. Could be more, could be 8 or 9, could even be 10, maybe. But I'm going to say 7, and let's go through these. Now, I want to point out before I start on this list that there are some high-profile candidates and races that we're not going to discuss here because they're not going to constitute pickups, changes from a Democratic senator to a Republican senator. For example, in Alaska, Joe Miller looks like he's probably going to win, but that's not a pickup because the current senator is a Republican. The same case in Ohio, Florida, some other places like that. So we'll not be discussing those races, even though I just did. But here are the 7 that I see. First of all, there are 3 races that you haven't been reading about, and they're getting no media attention because they've been done deals for a long time, but they are going to constitute pickups. Indiana, Democrat Evan Bayh is retiring. Republican Dan Coates is going to win that Senate seat. Arkansas, Blanche Lincoln is running. Remember, she barely won the Democratic primary. She's now getting trounced by John Boozman, the Republican, so he's going to be a senator, so that'll be a pickup. Third, North Dakota, Byron Dorgan retiring. The Republican is going to win there handily. His name is John Hoeven. Now we get to the more interesting races, the ones that I think the Republicans are going to pick up. I'll start with Wisconsin. I said the other day, I think that's going to be a close race. I still think it's going to be a close race. I think it's going to be closer than most people think. But I think Ron Johnson will barely beat Russ Feingold. So that's another one. Pennsylvania, I also see a close race here between Pat Toomey and Joe Sestak. But I think Toomey, the Republican, is going to win that race probably. In Colorado, I would call Ken Buck narrowly, although that's really close. But I think Buck might win it. That brings us to 6. And the 7th one, yes, Nevada, Senator Sharon Engel. That's what I think is going to happen. Now, West Virginia is a possible Republican pickup. Illinois is a very possible Republican pickup. That's a close one. I think that's a state where the Democratic turnout, I would wager, is going to be fairly high. Higher than most other places where it will be depressed. So I think Giannoulis might edge out Mark Kirk there. But those are 2 that the Republicans could win to get up to a pickup of 9. They would need Washington State, probably their best chance, at 10. But it seems like Patty Murray has that one sort of under control. So that's my Senate number, 7. Finally, governors, which we don't talk about as much. They don't matter as much from a Washington-centric perspective, but obviously they matter. And there are lots of governors' races, lots of, again, interesting and close ones. Here I see the Republicans also picking up 7. And I think they're going to gain in some fairly important states. They're going to gain in Pennsylvania probably. They're going to gain probably in Ohio, although that remains close. But there'd have to be a slight edge to the Republican there in Ohio. They're going to win some states that kind of unusually have Democratic governors, like Oklahoma, which is a little bit of an aberration, Tennessee. So they're going to pick up states that are more red than blue, obviously, anyway. I think the Democrats will make some gains in the governor's mansions. I think they'll probably pick up Hawaii. I think they'll probably pick up Minnesota. I'm going to say they'll pick up Florida, Alex Sink versus Rick Scott, a race I talked about a while ago, but that's really neck and neck. But when you take the Republican gains and the Democratic gains, I think it washes out to 7. So there you go, 45 in the House, which will give the Republicans, incidentally, an 11-seat edge, 223 to 212. So 45 in the House, 7 in the Senate, 7 in the governor's mansions. Go bet.